one of my pursuits right now is to try to tackle the issue of malnutrition amongst children in India, which is proving to be a much bigger task than I had ever assumed in terms of what it really addresses. One is trying to innovate, and one is up against, do you defeat yourself in innovating because you're dealing with a very convention-based and traditional-based marketplace, that is the rural market? Are they open to doing something differently? You know, it's the syndrome of in the rural area, if you're sick, you consider that needle that goes in you, that we call an injection, sui dega to theek hoga, even if it's glucose.
Yeah.
So there are symbols of tradition that we have to overcome. So when you go and say whether you take this pill or you sniff this essence and it's good for you, it doesn't do what this does.
For something like that to happen, to change the dimension of fetal and infant nourishment in the country, which is very vital, where almost 60% of the rural population, even their skeletal system is not growing to its full size. In a nation like this, where we are busy producing an underdeveloped population, and all that we have is population, nothing else in this country. If we make this into a strong, capable, inspired population, we could be a miracle, otherwise it would be a catastrophe. In this, unless we have an army of dedicated people on the ground who can educate and transform that situation, just trying to do something from the top, either from the government or even from a corporate sector, may not really take shape, because we have been in rural India working there. So there are many ways to do this, and we are already at this. But when you talk to a qualified doctor, they're always thinking in terms of putting, iron pills or vitamin pills into the pregnant ladies. If necessary, yes, maybe, but to improve the diet itself in the rural India, where we have shifted from what we call as subsistence farming to cash farming, where people, you would eat better 25 years ago, but they did not live better in other terms. But today, in all other terms, if you go into the village today, there's electricity, there's a bore well, they have an internet kiosk, everybody has cell phones, but their nourishment value has gone down because they don't have the mentality to use their money to go and buy the necessary foodstuff, either fruit, vegetable, fish or meat or whatever that is needed for them. They tend to… the staple diet in South India has become just rice, chili, onion and tamarind. In North India, it's wheat, onion, chili. The whole country, at least in northern India, the whole government debate is about the price of the onions. I happened to be in London and this was going on the news, and they asked, what about the onions? I said, this is our staple diet. That's why everybody is discussing onion in the parliament, on the street, and somebody is trying to win an election on the price of the onions, because that's our staple diet. Nourishment has been forgotten. So to bring back that culture of nourishment, many ways it can be done. To bring back those vegetables, fruits into people's lives, we have taken steps. Now the next step we are planning is to start fish ponds in every village. So every person must consume at least 1 kilogram of fish per week at least, and it'll be available free of cost if they just throw their waste into the fish pond. So, innovative ways of doing this has to happen, because this is a silent disaster which is just progressing and it'll overwhelm the nation at some point.
I think what you just said over the last few minutes is really relevant, because what we are finding also is the worst thing you can do for the country is to give everybody a sense of dependability on an outside force, be it the government, be it a private party, be it a public-private partnership. You have to create sustainability that is self-generated. If we have to create an environment of innovation, maybe that innovation comes not necessarily just in the nutritive thing, but how to create prosperity that is sustainable in a community. Not prosperity that you've fritter away in buying material things. That's the trappings of prosperity, but to create prosperity in the village, fisheries or fish ponds, or creating livelihood in terms of produce, etc. We're not addressing those issues adequately in the country, and many of them are, as you say, things that can easily be done. And if the nutritive value of what we eat has diminished over time, it's because we have allowed it to diminish, and we have not been innovative in terms of addressing this. You need to be thinking you're doing the right thing, and you're doing the right thing for the community in which you are. If it involves doing the right thing through which you call CSR, then that's what you need to do. It may not be 4%, it may be a minuscule amount, but it'll make a big difference in the community in which you are. It's not money related, it's not percentage of net profit. It may be the time that employees spend helping that community. Just as we said, it's not an issue of money, it's an issue of adding to the quality of life of that community that there may be. I don't think, just like we've talked about innovation, I don't think you can mandate CSR. You can't mandate that 2%.
This I've been consistently talking. You're changing the ground rules when you say CSR 2%.
Yeah, you're creating a tax.
Yes.
It'll be viewed like a tax. It's something that you have to make up in some other way. CSR has to come from within you, and it's, you call it CSR, call it anything you want. I think it's wrong to consider it, put it in a box and call it CSR. It's what you think you're doing that's adding value to the community in which you are. Can you equate yourself to it, or are you an industrial company that will wipe out a village because you want to put a plant, that you dig a hole because you need a dump for your industrial waste? Will you pull down a forest because you want to do something else there, or you need the timber for your operations and you don't regenerate that? All those things, I think, are questions you have to ask yourself. And do you pollute the river and without refining your refuge so that it doesn't kill people? Or is that somebody else's problem? I think there has to be a willingness to sacrifice for the good of the community if you're called upon to do so. Called upon by yourself to do so, not mandated by law. And if, for example, if you're in the asbestos business and one day asbestos turns out to be a carcinogenic product, are you willing to go out of that business? Or are you going to safeguard all the things that you think you can do, or brazenly keep pushing that product into the marketplace until the law says that you can't do it? Which of those things is moral responsibility? Moral responsibility to keep people employed, but that you might be endangering them, their health, putting products into the market that might hurt people and cause them ill health. what is that? Where does that responsibility lie? Is it the government's responsibility to ban it? Is it yours to identify that that's what you should do? There are cigarette companies in the US that will not allow people to be on the board of that company unless they smoke. It's true. Cigars or cigarettes.
But that's a good thing.
Huh?
That's a good thing. Do unto yourself what you do unto others.